Greetings all. You'll have to forgive me, but this presentation is going to be a bit informal, I'm afraid. There have been issues that have come up, and I believe that they need to be addressed. Not just for your benefit, but for my benefit as well, because there are some things I would like to say that I think need to be said, and I sincerely apologize if this is a bit unorthodox or a bit unprofessional, but I do believe that what I have to say needs to be said. So, the first thing I think needs to be talked about is, well, myself. My intro video that I did a while ago, it is, for the most part, what I want to show for the majority of my content, but at the same time, in saying that, it's not the whole picture. First of all, to give you some context, I'm not some high school dropout or somebody who's just doing this thing for fun or enjoyment. I am an individual who has a bachelor's and a master's degree. Bachelor's actually in, of all things, geology and paleontology, and a master's in education. So, I have a lot of experience in education, and it's part of the reason why I do the work that I do, because one of the few things in life that really does make me feel good, that gives me a sense of purpose and joy, is being able to teach others. And I take that with great honor and with great responsibility. And I know it is kind of silly, but I try to use that as a foothold for the work that I have been doing, not just here, but for many years now. When I said before in my intro video that I've done over 3,000 articles in the world of Pokemon, I was not making that number up. Legitimately, I have written over 3,000 articles on the world of Pokemon on DeviantArt. I've had the link available for some time now in my videos. And that work has taken me a lot of time to compile. And it has given me a very unique outlook on the Pokemon world that I do my best to try and educate others on, to show them, And it has had its ups and its downs, and while it has come with a lot of enjoyment in times past, I will admit that these days it's more of an obligation than anything else, because I'm the kind of guy that, once I've started something, I don't stop. I don't just give up. I might get frustrated and say that I give up, but I always end up coming back to it until it is done. That's just the kind of person I am. I don't like unfinished work. It makes me very angry. And so even when the situation comes to a point where it hurts me mentally, or even physically sometimes, to continue doing my work, I push ahead anyways. I continue to do it because it needs to be done. And I would honestly like to think that what I have to offer, what I am trying to offer, is unique. It's different from what other content creators have made. I've been watching, a lot of so-called PokeTubers for some time now. And when I look at their work, it's nice and everything, but I always am left with a sense that something is missing. Something that I think is really important. I'm a scientist first and foremost, a scientist and a writer. And when I look at Pokemon, I've always loved the series, but as I've grown into adulthood, I have been trying to find ways to enjoy it even more. And that's where my main work comes in, is trying to look at these creatures from a scientific perspective. Trying to explain them and their powers, their abilities, and everything with real-world science. And when I look around on YouTube or pretty much anywhere, I don't see that. I don't see people trying to use, real-world science to understand these creatures. They just accept them as fantastical life forms, and that's that. But what I have found is that, interestingly enough, even when it's not intentional, there is a lot of science that does work with these creatures. it lines up surprisingly well in a lot of cases, and I've always found that quite fascinating. And so I chose to pursue that because I knew it was different, because I knew that I had something I could add to the voices of the fandom. I could do something that nobody else really seemed to be able to do. And when I first started on DeviantArt, there were other people like that. They were trying to use, real world science to understand these creatures. But the problem I always had with them, honestly, is that they went too far. What they did was that they would take Pokemon, rip them out of their associated world, put them in our world, and then try to explain things. But as a result, when I look at those writings and everything, all I see is a realistic depiction, but to the point where Pokemon become nothing more than mere animals. And they're not. They're animals, sure, they're many things, but they are different. They are special, unique. There are things that make them very much not like a traditional animal or anything of that sort. And I always felt that there was something missing with that. So when I do my work, I try to blend both realism and fantasy together. I use real-world science to understand them, to understand them as if they were here in the real world, but at the same time keeping some of the more fantastical components of them, because I feel that gives the best picture. And I've been doing this for a while now. I've been doing this for a very long time now. And I'm going to be honest. I don't have the passion I once had. I guess I've just been in the business for so long that that's exactly what it's become. Business. Work. It's not fun for me anymore. And it's not that I hate Pokemon, it's just it's not fun for me anymore. It hasn't been for some time. Like, even when the newer games come out, and yes, I'm very much speaking out of character at this point if you hadn't figured it out. When the new games come out, I didn't just sit back and enjoy them, I haven't done that in a long time. I try and plow through them as quickly as I possibly can so I can get the information I need to continue writing my work, to update information, write new content, so on and so forth. Because that's what people expect of me. That's what I expect of myself, to be able to continue this work, because I will never stop it. Again, once I start something, I finish it, even if it comes at a great cost. And it has in the past. It's cost me a lot of things. But I did it because I thought I was doing something that meant something, at least to me. Nowadays, I do it because I feel that I have to. If I had a choice, I probably wouldn't anymore, but I have to. I want to because it needs to be done. No one else can do it like I can. I look to a lot of people for inspiration in my work. I've looked to many scientists, many writers, so many people to try and find an individual that I really felt resonated with me, that I believe that their way of life should be the way that I should do things. And there was one man. I will never get the chance to meet him because his time has since passed. But if I could go back in time, I would love to meet him. There is one man that I find inspiring to the highest degree. His name was Tesla. Nikola Tesla. Tesla was a man truly before his time. A brilliant inventor, a brilliant engineer, a brilliant man overall. Very strange, perhaps even a bit mad to some, but I have an idea as to what may have been going on, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But Tesla did many great things. He was mistreated by the people of his time. But, truth be told, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't even be talking to you right now. You wouldn't be able to hear me. Because Our entire modern technological world is beyond dependent upon the work that Tesla did in his lifetime. AC current alone. You have no idea. If you've done the research, then you might know what I'm talking about. For those who don't know, before Tesla came along, all we had was DC, which is direct current. The biggest problem with direct current is that it doesn't work at long distance. So, the lines they had back in those days, if you lived near the end of that line, good luck getting electricity. Good luck. But Tesla's alternating current was simple, it was efficient, and it had that distance advantage. And that was only the start of everything. He did many other wonderful things. He is basically the one responsible for radio. Though somebody else took credit for it, it was his concepts that led to it. So he is the father of radio. And by that definition, the father of television, of video games, technically, the technology that they're built upon, all of it it's because of him. Our modern technological world is thanks to Nikola Tesla. But, again, he was mistreated by the people of his time. He was always mistreated. And it saddens me, because when I look at Tesla, when I look at that man, I see something that I see in very few scientists of that era, and honestly today. Because as much as he was a brilliant engineer, a brilliant electrician, a brilliant man in all shapes and forms, he was also a brilliant humanitarian. Tesla's true lifelong goal was to create wireless power, infinite wireless power, free power for all. I mean, you want to complain about your electric bills? You want to point fingers? Point at the people who shut down Nikola Tesla. Point at them. Point at people like J.P. Morgan, who initially did fund him, but pulled the plug when he realized that there ain't going to be no way to make profit of it. Which, when you think about it, if you would actually stop and listen to him, talking about free wireless power, the free part probably should have given you some thought before you decided to give some funding. But that's beside the point. And then there are other certain people, like Thomas Edison. I'm going to be honest with you. As many patents as that man has to his name, I don't respect him. I don't respect him at all. Because he was a man in the pocket of other businessmen. Business was his business. And that's all that mattered. Tesla was an idealist. A true idealist. And sadly, in most cases, idealists don't end up winning the war. But in time, people do see what they tried to do. And that brings them a greater sense of honor and importance than they could have ever experienced in their lifetime. And that is very much the case with Tesla. Now, for a very long period of time, he was sort of just this forgotten figure. Not a lot of people gave thought to him. But I am very happy to see, though, now that in recent decades, people are starting to actually remember. And people are finally starting to truly champion Tesla and his work. And that makes me happy. Honestly, I might not have ever known about him if it had not been for those people. I've watched documentaries about Tesla, read up about him, but if these people hadn't done their best to revive his ideals and what he tried to do and what he has done for us, I would have never known. And when I look at him, that humanitarian aspect of his character is what stands out the most to me. Anyone can be brilliant. Anyone can be a super genius. But this was not a man that was just going to use his genius for gain or just outright waste it. This is a man who wanted to use it for the betterment of mankind. Because he could see it. He could see the wireless transmission of power across the globe. And to even think about that nowadays is still kind of mind-blowing. But as I said before, he was a man far ahead of his time. Nowadays, business is so entrenched within power that it probably will never happen. At least, not by any major company, because, again, can't make profit off of wireless power, not when it's infinitely free to some degree or another. He did what he did not for his own betterment, but for the betterment of all. And that's sort of what I've tried to do in my work. I've lost a lot of passion for it, and to be perfectly honest, doing all this work I'm doing here for YouTube, which I'll talk more about in a little bit, it's just, I see it as doing a service to others. I'm not doing it because I find it fun. It was fun at first, but for me, the content just, it's not shaping up the way that I would like it to. And that has made things very difficult. And, it's especially difficult for me because, well, most people won't say this out loud, but at this point, honestly, what I'm about to say, I say because I don't think that it should matter much. But truth be honest is, I'm not exactly your normal kind of person. See, Tesla and I sort of share something in common. Now, this was never confirmed by him when he was alive, but in a way, Tesla and I are similar. He had a very unique brand of OCD, as we would call it these days, obsessive-compulsive disorder. He had a very peculiar way of doing things, and that kind of helped fuel the rage against him as some sort of weird or mad scientist. I am, myself, a little off-kilter in that department. And I apologize if people don't want to know this, but I am going to say it anyways. I am on the spectrum, and if you don't know what that means, I'm not talking about spectrum cable. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. I am talking that I am on the autistic spectrum. I have Asperger's. And because of that, I'm kind of stuck looking at the world through rose-tinted glasses, as some would say. My perception of reality is permanently warped to some degree. So that's something that I've had to live with my entire life. And to my credit, I do believe it's the reason why I am so good at what I do. Why I've been able to create such a fan base on DeviantArt with all my written works. How I've been able to stay the course with all of this, despite the fact that I've lost a lot of love and passion for the work. And it has made things more interesting, but at the same time, it has come with its problems, and I'm not going to bother getting into them right now. That's a subject maybe for some other time, who knows. But it has made things different. Now, with all that said, that's sort of where I stand with myself. Now I think it's probably a good idea that I address the issues that I'm having right now. I'm making this video, and I probably should have said this earlier on, but now is probably the best time to say this. I've made this video in response to some frustrations and issues that I've been having making content for this site. And I'll be honest, like writing up the information, getting it organized, put together perfectly, having the script already, that's not a problem. I've been doing that for almost a decade now. It's not a problem. But what is a problem is then trying to present it to other people in a verbal and visual format. I'm very much used to people just reading what I write. I'm a writer by trade, so this has been a new experience for me. And it hasn't been pleasant, I'll be honest. It's been a learning experience, and not a pleasant one. Now, I will admit I am not the most skilled of individuals when it comes to this kind of work. It's not my specialty. But the problem I have is that I don't really have much help. Now, I have an artist friend that's been working with me, to make some sketches and images for the videos I put out. But as far as the content goes, making the content, asking for creators' permission to use theirs, making the videos, doing the recordings, all of that, it's all been me. It's just been me. I haven't been getting help from other people or, assistance from other people. I mean, and I've tried, to look to other people on YouTube for inspiration, but I'm gonna be honest, I haven't found it. The only inspiration I have is the inspiration to do something different from the rest. Because, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, and I'm not bashing other PokeTubers, as they call themselves. I'm not here to do that. But I am here to say, that's not my thing. That's not my shtick. I can't just come in here and just talk willy-nilly about things, or it's just not my style. Like doing this recording right now. On the one hand, I don't like this recording because it's not neat and tidy and professional. I'll tell you one thing, when I do recordings for this, I don't have like a cover for my headset speakers, whatnot, so I have to edit out all of my breathing sounds when I actually, make the content. It's annoying as heck, but to be quite honest, I don't have a choice, and the reason why I don't have a choice is because I don't have the ability to afford better equipment than what I have. And I think that goes for a lot of, novice YouTubers, people that are just getting started in, but it has made it difficult because it takes a lot of time to edit this stuff. And the other issue I have is that I want to sound professional. I want to be as professional as possible. But at the same time, it is kind of part of the reason why I don't have the same love that I used to have for the series, because I'm so used to just talking like this, to doing everything like this, that I don't speak as I naturally do. Admittedly, and I'm sure some of you may have noticed already in my content that you can tell I'm probably reading from a script. You could tell. It's not that difficult. And yeah, I'm open-minded, of course I'm reading from a script. This, what you're hearing right now, there is no script for this. I am doing bare minimum editing on this recording, because I don't know. I think that perhaps that maybe doing it this way might be a way to compare the two, to see how I have been recording things to how I am normally. Because this is how I normally talk, this is how I normally address people. So, being professional, it's what I do, it's what I've always been, but at the same time, it's not easy, and quite frankly, it's not fun. It's not fun in the slightest. And on top of all that, I will openly admit, I probably picked one of the worst times to try and start up a YouTube channel. I will openly admit, because I keep up on things. I've seen the Adpocalypses 1, 2, 3, whatever ones will probably happen for the rest of this year, who knows at this point. Maybe YouTube will implode. Probably not. But the point is, I know, I picked a really bad time to do this. I really know, I do. And I'll be frank, the reason why I'm doing it now, because I haven't been in a rough spot in my life. I'm not going to get into the details now because that's stuff that you guys don't need to worry about, you don't need to know, it's not really important to this message. But what is important is that I am in a difficult position right now, and I'm doing this because this is about my only outlet I have left to try and make something out of my time, because everything else in my life has pretty much gone into the crapper. It's not good. And I'm not saying that to be, to demand sympathy. I'm saying it because that's the matter of fact of everything, things are not good for me. And so I'm doing this because I have all this knowledge, and I'd like to maybe even expand upon it, to expand upon what I've spent almost a decade writing, and I don't have much else to do with my time right now. It seems like a funny thing, like, well, I might as well start a YouTube channel because I've got nothing better to do. But at the same time, I want to do this because, again, I feel like that I'm doing a service. I want to do a service to others. That's what my work on DeviantArt basically has been. And I wanted to replicate what I did there here. But it hasn't been going so well. I haven't really said anything until now, but I think I need to say it now to maybe move forward and fix this, if it can even be fixed. And to give you an idea, I mean, when I set out to do this, I thought, okay, I have a friend here who's doing the artwork, so it takes some time to get things done. So I figured, why not start out with a simple schedule, like a video every 3 days? And that's worked out so far. But at the same time, as I said before, I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with what I have because I don't have the skills that I need to make it better. I don't have the technology to make it better. I don't know how to. This has never really been my thing. I've always been a man of the written word. Not so much visual information. It's not my forte. Which, in that case, maybe joining YouTube is a bad idea. I don't know. But I wanted to get my content out to a wider range of people. And I didn't know how else to do it aside from this. And again, it hasn't been a total disaster, but it hasn't been great either. Now, I will openly admit, I don't spend all day working on things. Unfortunately, I kind of have a restricted time schedule for doing work, because I'll flat out admit, I spend pretty much the entire morning, almost every day, outside walking, playing Pokemon Go. Yeah, I'm one of those people that's still playing that thing. I have my reasons for doing so, which I probably may cover in a future video, something like this, if this sort of resonates with people, if the message I'm trying to deliver here is getting across or is appreciated. So, I don't have a lot of time to work on stuff. And I still want to get content out because my goal is to do basically sort of the same thing I did on DeviantArt here. And that means covering pretty much every aspect of the Pokemon universe. That's not easy. It really wasn't easy writing it up and updating and rewriting and reformatting and so on and so forth. And I'll be quite frank, I don't know if I can do it. Because this has been very frustrating for me. I have persevered, but it hasn't been an enjoyable experience. Not in the slightest for me. And again, I've already harped on and on about that, so I'll move on from there. So, with all that said, here's the situation of everything. I want to continue with my current schedule. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. But at the same time, I look at what I'm doing and I don't like it because it's not fun to do. So, what I want to try and do is to try and fix things and make them more enjoyable. I don't know quite now how I'm going to do that, but I want to try and make things more enjoyable for everyone, because I'm well aware trying to do anything like educational on YouTube is, well, a bad idea. It takes a long time for people to just have any interest in it all. But, unfortunately, it's all I know how to do. The only thing that I know that I can do to maybe fix this is to maybe try a bit of a format change. To try and do things a little bit differently. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep on the current schedule, at least try as much as I can. But at the same time, every once in a while, I haven't decided how often yet, but every once in a while, I'm going to try and make content sort of like this. Because, I'll be honest, like when I go back and I look at the work I've been doing, I sound like a freaking robot, you know? It's not what I really want to do. It's not how I really want to sound. To me, it's just been a struggle to figure out how it is best to approach this kind of thing, because I don't know how to make people take me seriously. I don't know. Maybe people shouldn't. I don't know anymore. that's sort of a problem I've always had, is I want people to take me seriously. But at the same time, if you take someone seriously, it doesn't necessarily mean you enjoy listening to what they do. And I really haven't exactly attracted a lot of people, so I guess I'm doing something wrong. So what I want to try and do to fix this is to make content that is a little bit less formal, something that's more attuned to just me doing what I'm doing here, just speaking to you all, just talking like a normal human being. Now, that's probably going to clash quite a bit with my more formal work, but I feel that this is the best way to do it. One of the things, that I've heard from YouTubers is that consistency is important, that you have to be the same person you are with everything you do. But for me, that's not so easy, because I've lived so long as one individual and then another, two at the same time, that I simply can't just stick to one or the other. They blend together sometimes. Now, if changes are going to occur, and I'm going to try and work with them as much as I can, here's what you can expect. With the basic informational report videos that I've been putting out, I'm going to try and use some new programs, see if I can make the videos more appealing, but I can't promise anything right now. Again, this is not my forte. But what I am going to try and do is to try and keep things a little bit less formal, to try and make it a bit more realistic, So it's not like I'm lecturing people, but giving, a nice, interesting conversation. With that said, though, I would like to make it clear that you might not see this change for a little while. See, the problem is that while my artist friend is doing their work, I have been pre-recording things for a while. And I have probably close to about a month of recordings already done and in waiting to make videos for. So you're gonna get stuck with that formal tone for a while, I'm afraid. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and make content that's a little bit more natural, that's a bit less stiff. Now, I can't promise much on the visual end, unfortunately. Like this video, you probably have noticed by now there's not much to see, and that's because I really couldn't think of anything to put in here that would express what I really wanted to communicate. And I think maybe that's one of the biggest problems I really have, is that I know what I want to say, but then to have to figure out a way to show people visually what I'm trying to get across to them, it's not so easy for me, unfortunately. It's something that I still have to really work at, and I don't know how much better I'm going to get at it, but I'm doing my best to work at it. And when these kind of content videos come up, I may make an announcement on my Twitter, or it may be impromptu. I haven't decided yet. But it's going to be something that is less structured. It's basically going to be whenever I want to talk about something, I will do a recording for it, and I will upload it. Again, I can't promise much visually, but I'm going to do my best to move past that, because right now I'm not really playing to my strengths. Right now I'm doing the writing, which is what I'm good at, but at the same time I'm trying to do the recording, which is tedious as heck for me and not entertaining, and then making the videos, which is, again, not going so well. So, with these kind of special videos, I'm going to try and stick to my strengths as much as possible, and I'm going to hope that maybe people will still tune in and listen. That maybe they will be willing to just listen to somebody talk here on YouTube, which I know is a weird thing, but to just listen and see what they have to say. I don't know where this is going at this point, but I'm trying to make the best of the situation, and I am trying to make it so I actually want to keep doing this. Point blank, I'm going to end up still doing this regardless of the situation, but it would be nice for a change for me to be able to do this kind of work and actually want to do it. Again, as I've said before, this was a bad time to come on and try to do this kind of content on YouTube. This is a bad time for it. And I don't know how many people out there will resonate or understand where I'm coming from. But what I do know is that I need to start doing something that I actually like. I need to start talking or presenting my work in a way that I actually approve of, that I actually think sounds like the real me. Because otherwise, I just feel like a robot. And I don't think that's what any human being should have to feel like. That's something I've felt for a very long time, and I need to try and find a way to move past that. So, with all of that said, I think I'm going to end this presentation around here. I believe that I have said what I think needed to be said, and I will see where things go from here. Again, since I have so much stuff pre-recorded, you're probably not going to notice a huge difference in the way I present my main content for a while now, but hopefully in time you will see some differences, and hopefully they will be more attractive than just listening to somebody drone on and on about something, clearly reading from some sort of script. I hope that if you have taken the time to listen to this presentation, that some part of it has clicked for you, that something has made sense. If not, then that's fine as well. Honestly, I wasn't really planning on doing this, but after some issues came up, I felt that this was the only way to respond to them. So, with that, I wish you all a wonderful day, night, whatever time it is, whatever day it is, whatever year it is. And I promise that I will do what I can to make content that is more attuned to what people would like to hear. Something that is entertaining and engaging, yet at the same time informative. Something that is educational in nature, but at the same time makes you actually want to keep listening. I mean, no offense to the man, but I am not going to be Ben Stein here. I love the man. I think he does a lot of wonderful work. But, well, you know the joke, Bueller. Anyways, I hope that this presentation has clarified a few things, and I hope that perhaps now I can move on and maybe start to actually enjoy recording things for once. Hopefully you will be receptive to what I put out there, and hopefully by the end of all this, things will come out better than they were originally. With that said, finally, now, this time definitely, I'm going to close this presentation. Everyone have a wonderful day, night, whatever time it is, whatever day it is, whatever year it is, and I will see you later.